Hello, church family. It's great to be here again and to bring you another devotional from God's Word. Today's Devo is the second part of a four-part series on parenting, and I've titled it, The Commitment to Love. What does it take to have a good success when it comes to raising our children, your child? Well, the world would define success in many different ways. Here's one. Rosemary Raphael says, "Success is a series of failures." I'm sure you've heard of that before. But wait a minute. This statement is not entirely true. It's not a true statement for a Christian because we know that apart from God's enlightening us to His truth, there will be no lasting success in our lives, whatever we endeavor, even parenting. A better statement is this: success for a parent is a series of failures learned while watching and exemplifying Christ in and throughout our life. Many of us start a family unprepared, and we feel that we are failures in the task of good parenting. When Lynn and I first started out raising our children, it actually was quite easy. It was a lot of fun. They were a bundle of joy. However, as my boys grew, parenting became increasingly more difficult for me. Sometimes parents don't know what to do and how to love their child the way God intended when it gets difficult. This is often because of the example they had or didn't have as a child when they were growing up. We don't know how or we don't know what to do when the child acts out, when things start to become difficult for us as we try to parent the child. This perfectly describes me as I began to father my two boys from ages 4 and up. I found myself burying my head in my hand and crying out to God for help. We're going to look at a love chapter in Corinthians. Often it is used to help difficult or even broken and failing marriages. However, the chapter wasn't written to the church with this specific idea in mind. The Corinthian church had some very difficult situations with regards to relationships, and Paul was emphasizing one thing that would overcome all these difficulties within that church body regarding interpersonal relationships. Paul was helping to steer the ship, so to speak, the ship that was seemingly sinking. The early church of Corinth was falling prey to the lack of knowledge of how God expected it to behave in difficult relationships and situations. Let's discover together what it was that helped these young believers overcome and experience victory in their lives. Now, I want you to visualize two things while we read this passage. First, I want you to visualize your child. Keep them in your mind's eye as we read the passage. And second, I want you to also visualize that you are your child's example of Christ as we read this passage. So here we're going to need to think of Jesus as Paul describes the characteristics that you as a parent should be exemplifying to your child. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in the iniquity, but rejoices in truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Suffice it to say that this passage plays a pivotal role in helping us understand that love is preeminent and above all other things that we might think we need to do when it comes to maintaining a godly relationship with others, including parenting our children. 1 Corinthians 13:13, we're going to end here with that. And now abide faith, hope, love, these three. But the greatest of these is love. A father figure in my life while I was raising the boys in their early days encouraged me with a profound statement that I want to pass on to you today. At that time, I wanted to, and I was inspired to do many things for the Lord as I could be a good example to the boys. I wanted to go back to Bible college. I wanted to pick up where I left off, serve the Lord in some full-time capacity. Here's the advice he gave me, and I believe it is applicable to all parents today. I've come to embrace it, and it's my prayer that you'll embrace it too. Paul, your children are your mission. Nothing, and I mean nothing, should come above that mission. Put everything you have on hold for them, including money, career, relationships, purpose of life. You will always be the only true example of Christ they ever carry in their hearts with them into their future. Let's try and ask God to help us do that for our parents, to be a good example of Christ to our children, as it is their future they're going to reflect on when they see you. God bless.